Hello traders. So I hope you'll find this to be a really fun video. It's going to be a little bit longer, but this is going to deal with auto trading. This is using an Option Alpha bot. But before I get into the bot, I'm going to talk about my premise for the trade. So I like to trade butterflies. That's one of my favorite trades. And I am, in full disclosure, I am trading an Option Alpha bot that trades 0 DTE butterflies. I'll be sharing some information about that with you later on. But and what that does is in the first 30 minutes or so of the day, it opens up a variety of different butterflies, and then it closes them as the day progresses. Most of you, if you've traded at all, you should know by now that a butterfly benefits from a lack of movement and price decay in the short strikes that you sold, and then you buy those short strikes back for a lower price. So that's the premise behind a butterfly. I think most people will know and understand that. So what we want to have happen is once we open our butterfly, we don't want, oh, market's closed. What we don't want is we don't want a lot of movement after opening up our butterfly. So I read an article over the weekend that was very intriguing to me. And this article basically talked about how the movement in major indexes tends to be larger in the first 3 hours of the day, which is usually when people are trading these 0 DTE butterflies, than it is overnight. So I wanted to use a tool like an artificial intelligence tool. So I'm attempting to extract information about our markets using Bard. Now, Bard is Google's artificial intelligence engine. It's very similar to ChatGPT, but Bard, I believe, from trying to keep up with this, it's moving at lightning speed. Bard gets more current data to it than the regular ChatGPT. Now, if you pay for a ChatGPT subscription, I think it's version 4, you might get more current data, but you don't have to pay for Bard. You just go to bard.google.com and you can put in your artificial intelligence queries. So this is my query. So I want to look at the SPY ETF for the month of December. I want to compare the change in the SPY opening price at 9:30 Eastern Time to its value at 12:30 each day. And I want to compare that to the SPY close each day versus the opening the following day. I wanted to put together 2 columns for me. Now, I've already done a little bit of preliminary work on this to make sure that I've kind of worded this in a way that hopefully will work. So let me put this request out there, and hopefully it will rebuild this for me properly. Now, you have to know when you're dealing with artificial intelligence, especially this early in the game, you don't always get the best information. Now, this is interesting because I'm getting totally different answers here now than what I got previously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the results that I had gotten previously. And these results will back up my premise. So this particular one that I'm about to show here, oh, why am I not getting that on my screen here? Hold on. Here we go. So this is for the month of November. And here I actually had asked it to compare SPX, so the numbers are different, but the premise is the same. And it's just that with an Option Alpha bot, I can't trade SPX yet. Hopefully they'll be able to at some point. So I'm actually going to be trading SPY. But what's really interesting about this, when I look at this, and I have not gone in and verified that all these numbers are accurate. And again, anytime you're dealing with artificial intelligence in the early stages, you have to know that there's a little bit of suspect information here. Do not take everything as gospel. That said, I read an article that said that, what was happening here and what was true. And this does seem to uphold that. Let's see. Yeah, so if we look at the totals down here, the first 3 hours is in the right, and the close to open is on the left. And if we take a look at these, we can see that the market swung based on this 247 points. This happened to be down points. November was a little bit of a down month versus 57 in overnight movement. Okay. So now a case could be made that you could average these. I'm not a mathematician, but I think the bottom line here is that it's pretty obvious from this that there's more movement during the first 3 hours of the day than there often is overnight. So let me pull down the same numbers here for December. I asked it to do the same thing for December. And again, it did it previously. Not sure why it's not doing it now, but that's one of the things that artificial intelligence is a little odd. So for December, same thing. The 3 hour window had more movement in it than the overnight window. So my premise here, what I'm drawing, the conclusion that I'm drawing from this is that it would be pretty cool if I could build a bot that would trade butterflies overnight instead of that first 3 hour window of the day. I can hold those overnight, and in theory, there's less movement overnight, so those butterflies, and there's decay that's going to happen overnight as well, that might allow these butterflies to maybe be a little bit more profitable in overnight trading than they are in, opening a 0 DTE position. So in other words, these are going to be trading 1 DTE butterflies. It's going to open something today that's going to expire tomorrow night, as opposed to opening something this morning that's going to expire at the end of the day. So that's my premise. I'm going to pause a second here. I'm going to go to the bot platform, and then I'm going to show you how I might build a bot that would take advantage of this concept. So let me just pause, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so before I get into my bot concept, I know people are often asking me how my current bots are doing. Now, these bots are trading live. This particular bot right here is one that if you are a subscriber to Option Alpha, and again, as most of you know, I worked there for a couple of years, great team of people, great product. I wish it could trade SPX. It can't yet. That's a limitation of SPX only trading in nickel increments instead of penny increments, and it's I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but at the end of the day, if SPX could trade in penny increments, they could probably trade SPX here as well, but they can't right at this point. So this bot, if somebody is a member of Option Alpha, and I'll put a link down below to give you a free trial, you can go in and clone this bot. This bot was actually written by a trader called Lealwai, Lealwai. Really good guy, has shared a lot of bots in the community. And to find those bots, let me just show you that very quickly. If you are a member, and again, I'll give you a free trial down below. You can go to the community here. If you go to community and you go to top bot templates, well, these are different templates that all sorts of traders have shared. And the one that I've been trading live is essentially this bot right here. I just cloned it. To clone it, it's very, very simple. All you do is click here, say clone, and it drops it into your account and it starts trading in paper. Unless you physically connect it to an account, it will only paper trade. But here's all the information about what this person built into this bot, what it does, how it works. This bot is a very complex, very involved bot. The person that wrote this, a gifted trader and a gifted programmer, which I am not. But at the end of the day, I'm not a gifted programmer. I think I'm a pretty good trader. But at the end of the day, you can see there are all sorts of people that have shared their trading plans, their trading rules in here. Now, these are all bots that other people have built that they're sharing openly with anybody that's in the community. But again, looking at my bots that I'm trading live, I am trading this one, which again, I just simply copied right out of the community. This one, back when I worked there, I wrote this and I shared this in the community. So this is what's called the Super Bull. This is based off of a a bullish type of trade that John Locke, a professional coach and trader, teaches. John was one of my mentors. Again, great guy and great education. And now I'm kind of following in John's path, helping educate traders as well. And likewise, I'm doing it in some cases with bots where John really doesn't get into the bot world. But this is a bullish trade, so it did not do so well during this period of time. But so long as our market remains in a bullish mode, this thing's doing okay, 20% return in about a year's worth of time. This is trading very, very small size and very, very slowly. This is literally trading just 2 long call spreads, one at a time. It's opening them up about 30 days apart and then closing them out about 30 days into the trade if they're profitable. So I won't get into all the rule set for this, but just know that it is a rules-based trade, and I've just taken those rules, converted them into a bot. Again, I did share this in the community as well, so if you become a member, you go into the community, you can look for this JL Super Bull, and you will find it in there. You can clone it, and you can trade it as well. But again, in a bearish environment, doesn't quite do so well. But you can always take a look at your dashboard. You can see the P&L curve. You can see all the details about the trade, 14 positions, 57% winners, losses, all that sort of stuff. All the stats are there for you, how much capital you had at risk at any given point. So all that information is readily available there for you. And likewise, let's just take a look again. We'll take a look at that, my live, this is a 0 DTE bot. This is trading 0 DTE butterflies. It is up 75% since I started it on October 18th. It did have some pretty big drawdowns in places, so you need to be aware of that. And it draws down when the market has a big move. You're doing a butterfly. You open at a certain point. In the morning, it opens a butterfly that's centered around the market. If the market stays in that window for 2-3 hours, this thing closes out nicely. If the market runs hard at any point during those 2 or 3 hours, you can take a big hit. These trades, if we look at the actual positions, so these are the positions that it has open right here, right now. And so that's the open positions. These are all the positions that it has recently closed. And again, I do nothing with this. I don't even have to have my computer on. And this thing is firing out these orders, filling these trades, monitoring the trades, closing them when the conditions that I define are met. And I should also point out, you don't want to be trading this animal, a 0 DTE bot that might open 5, 6, 7 positions a day, each position being 4 legs, unless you're 0 commission. Now, the other cool thing with Option Alpha is if you're an Option Alpha member and you open a Tradier account, you get unlimited trading, free trading for $10 a month. So no matter how many of these I do, I'm only paying $10 a month. So I would not recommend trading something like this in an account that you're paying normal commissions on. Because as you can see, some of these wins are only $14, $10, $12, things like that. And in those, and of course, you've got the losses in there. So, if you've got a 4-legged trade, you're getting in and out and you're paying a buck per, I mean, you've eaten up all your profit here in commissions. So just be aware of that. Anytime you're trading anything that's 0 DTE or short-term trading, you have to really be aware of commissions. So those are, again, a couple bots that are trading live. Again, I can look at my dashboard here. I can see that this is, moving along nicely. This does have a fair amount of capital at risk at any given time. And, that's only going to happen. A big loss like this is going to occur if you have a large up or down move during a given time of day, during that first hour or two of the day. But again, and here's the various stats. So 367 positions. We've had 63% winners, 132 losses, 232 wins. Average P&L is $20. Did have a drawdown of 24%. That's a pretty big drawdown. You need to keep that in mind. And no matter what drawdown you've actually had, know that a larger drawdown is always looming. So you just need to kind of keep that in mind anytime that you're trading, particularly if you're trading a systematized trading method. So now I want to take a look at, now that you've seen kind of the bots that I've been running live, these two are just, these bots are not making any decisions about entering positions. These are bots where I define a position, I go out, and again, another cool thing, and then we'll get to what I wanted to get to. I'm sorry, shiny things, I get distracted easily. But if we take a look here at trade ideas on any given day, pretty cool here that Option Alpha can sort through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different types of potential trades. And I can narrow these in any way I want. Say I only want to look at ETF trades, and I only want to sort this by alpha, which is a proprietary measurement of the potential trade quality. And I only want to look at trades that have a risk reward higher than 100%. In other words, if I'm going to risk $76, I want more than $76 in potential gain in the trade. So I can do things like that. I can narrow it down to just these trades. And then if I say, ooh, I like the looks of this trade, let's open this thing up, I can go ahead, click on this, open this trade, just simply click place trade, and then I drop it into that bot, into one of those bots. When I drop it into that bot, what that bot then does is it monitors that trade for whatever exit criteria I set up. And this bot has some pre-built exit criteria in it. And again, there's a lot of different things you can do there. I'm not even going to try to go into all this. I can set a specific profit target. I can set a trailing stop. I can set a stop loss percent that, once I get to a 20% profit, if it slips off that 20% by 5%, close the position, lock me in my 15%. Again, a lot of different ways that I can define how I want to exit a trade. But just know that those two bots that I was showing here, where these two, the bots are making the entry decision and the exit decision, I am totally hands-off after I set the thing up. In this case, I'm doing what's called more of a hybrid trading, where I am deciding what trades I want to put in those bots, and then I'm letting the bots manage the exit strategy that I wanted to put in place. So these are, again, all live trading at this point, various aspects of live trading. Now, let me get to the two bots that I recently built, actually three bots that I recently built, that model my new premise, okay? My new premise being that the gap overnight is historically less than the movement during the first 3 hours of the day. And if that is true, which our artificial intelligence on the limited basis I was able to do that, showed me that, yeah, it has been true at least the past few months. So that may be a better way to trade a short-term butterfly. So these top three right here are three variations of this that I put together. The first one I built, I did this one literally just a couple of days ago. January 2nd is when I built this and launched it. So it's only been trading a few days at this point. But, it's had a pretty nice run. I mean, every trade it has made so far has been a winning trade. I should stress, these are paper trades right here, right now. These are not live trades. I always run my bots in paper for a while first, make sure that I'm comfortable with what they're doing, how they're doing it, etc. After I have a comfort level with the bot, then I'll go ahead and turn it live. And at this point, I haven't turned any of these to live yet. So this was the first one I did. And then I ended up coming up with a couple of different variations. So one of the variations on this was that I wanted to trade some different symbols. So I tossed in like IWM, QQQ, etc. So, and these are the closed trades down here. These are the open trades. And I can always come in again and look at analyze results. Well, analyzing results gives me really good details. Bots can trade more than one type of trade. In this case, it's all butterflies. So everything that happens is going to be butterfly. I can see, well, is it trading better with the SPYs or the Qs? And these are things that I can evaluate, particularly once I get more data in here. I don't have a lot of data in this one, of course, just yet. And this data is paper data at this point. So let me look at the last one here. And again, these are just different variations of kind of the same bot. And this one I just launched here today, actually yesterday, at the end of the day yesterday. So, and this one's set up a little bit differently yet. Again, just sort of trying out different variations of this. But I'm going to build one here, and I'm going to build a very, very simple one, which really is going to mirror this first one right here, okay, which has been doing great. It hasn't had a single losing trade yet. Again, I know that's not conclusive. Let me just stress it's had, what, 8 trades or something? Yeah, 8 trades. So, the fact that it hasn't lost in 8 trades is virtually meaningless. But when you combine that with, again, the artificial intelligence research I did about the gaps overnight versus the 3-hour move in the morning, it kind of tells me, yeah, maybe there is something here. So that lays all the groundwork for our premise. So let me pause again here, and then we'll get into the building phase. All right, so we're literally going to go from ground zero so that people can follow along. And again, this is not going to be too terribly difficult if you have a subscription to the platform. Again, you can get a free one down below. You're going to come into bots. And if you're a free user or a new user, you will not have as many bots as I have. Kirk was gracious enough that for those of us that worked there for a couple of years while they were getting this launched, they've grandfathered us in for, basically having the platform. But a newer trader at the free level or at the base level might only have 10 available bots. But that's neither here nor there, because you're only going to need one to do what I'm doing. So we come in here, we say new bot. And then I am there's a lot of different ways we can do this. We can do it, doing a bot wizard. We can clone somebody else's bot, whatever. I'm going to start with a blank canvas, an empty bot. And I'm going to call this, let's see, what do we want to call it? Let's see, we'll call this sample 1 DTE bfly bot. Okay, and I will give this thing $2,500 to work with. Again, it's paper trading, so it really doesn't mean anything at this point. Bottom line is, actually I'm going to go more than that, and you'll know why in a few minutes. I'm going to go 10. I pretty much, anytime I build a bot, I assign it $10,000. That way I can compare my bots back and forth with each other. If I give them all the same allocation, that doesn't mean I'll trade it in that allocation when I go to trade it, but if I give them all the same starting allocation, then when I look at P&L numbers and things like that, it kind of all makes sense because they're based off the same value. So now I'm going to create the bot, okay? So first thing I want to do is I want to come into my bot settings. So what sort of rules do I want on this bot? What do I want to do? What's my objective here? So I can take an automation that I've already built. An automation is just a process that a bot runs through. And of course, I've already built one to do the opening of this. But that's not what I want to do. I want to build that automation from scratch. So we are going to add an automation. And I'm going to name this, I don't know, test bfly. Oh, helps if I clicked in there. Oh, new, duh. See, and they've changed some things about the platform since I last used it as well, or since I worked there and was supporting people. So test bfly 1 DTE automation. Okay. So what do I want to do with this automation? What is it I'm trying to do? Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to have a decision. Now, what I am choosing to do here, and you can see there are lots and lots of different decisions, and each thing that is underlined has a series of choices that go with it that you can define what you want to do. What do you want a trade to be open based on? Do you want it to be based on price or something else? You can plug in a number for price. Do you want a certain percent? Do you want it to be more than, less than, whatever? So all of these different things. But what I'm going to do here is I want to open my butterfly late in the day. Again, my premise is that there's not going to be a large shift overnight. Well, if there's not going to be a large shift overnight, I want to open a butterfly fairly close to the market close. So I'm going to come down here all the way down to the bottom. And here I can define that the current market time is whatever. Okay, so I'm going to put in current market time, and I'm going to put is exactly, and the times that it uses is market time. Okay, so this is East Coast time, even though I'm based in California. So I'm going to put in here that at 3 p.m., if it is exactly 3 p.m. on a given day, what do I want to do? Well, I can click a plus here, and if there's anything else I want to put in here, I could put that in here right now. There's really not. That's really my only starting criteria, is that I just want it to be exactly 3 p.m. So I click yes. So if it checks, is it 3 p.m.? And the answer to that is yes, it is 3 p.m. It's not 2:45, it's not 3:15, it's not 3:30, it is exactly 3 p.m. So, and the bots run under normal circumstances, the automations run every 15 minutes. So at every 15 minutes, it's going to come in and say, is it 3 p.m.? If the answer is no, it's not going to do anything. If the answer is yes, what do we want it to do? If the answer is yes, I'm going to open a position, okay? It is literally this simple. I like my bots simple. That one that I shared with you that's trading 0 DTE, Leowise bot, fabulous knowledge that went, programming knowledge as well as trading knowledge that went into that. But I couldn't begin to diagnose and understand absolutely every decision that bot is making. That decision tree goes on and on and on and on and on, which you can do. There is no limit to how many decisions you can put in a trade. But again, I like to keep mine very simple. So what am I going to do if it's 3 p.m. on a given day? I am going to open a new position. So what am I going to open? I'm going to open an iron butterfly. What do I want my iron butterfly to be in? What do I want to open? Well, I am going to open it in SPY. That's what I'm starting with. Now, those other variations that you saw me do, well, I was adding in second, third, and fourth automations that were trading SPY, or excuse me, trading Q, trading IWM, trading DIA, whatever else, just to kind of see how those different ones trade. Again, I'm in paper right now. So I want to trade SPY. What do I want my expiration to be? Well, SPY has daily expirations now, and I only want to trade 1 DTE. I want a lot of decay to happen fast. So I'm looking for something to trade that's going to be between 1 day and 1 day, okay? I'm only going to trade it 1 day out. Now, one of the things that I found out after I first built this is, it didn't make a trade on Friday. When it came to 3 o'clock on Friday, it didn't open a trade for Monday because it looks 1 day out. 1 day out is Saturday. There is no expiration on Saturday. So if I wanted to trade Friday, I need to kind of do a little bit of a tweak. I'm not going to get into all that right now. I'm just going to share with you something that's going to trade Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And again, trade this in paper, see what it does, how it works. And then as you start to learn this yourself, you can come in and figure out how you want to modify and change it from there. So what I did was I'm going to do a long put that's going to be 10 delta. I'm going to do a short put, and that's going to be, again, I'm just going to keep this centered. So my short put, I'm just going to do at 50 delta, and it was already set at 50, so I don't need to go through this, or closest. In other words, if it goes out to look at 50 delta and it's like it's not real sure, we're kind of between, whatever, I'm just telling them to pick the closest. Then my short call, I want my short call. Now I could leave that at 50 delta 2, but sometimes that doesn't always resolve to the exact same number that's here, depending on some different variables, how fast the market's moving, etc. So to be safe and to make sure that my two short strikes here are always going to be the same, the easiest way for me to define this short call is to come in and say that I want it as the same strike as the short put leg, okay? So whatever it resolves this short put leg to be, I want the short call leg to be exactly the same strike. And I'm going to go with my long call at 10 delta as well. And position sizing. So position sizing, there's a lot of variables here. I just keep mine simple at one contract, but I can select a number of contracts. I can select a certain amount of risk and let the bot decide how many contracts I can trade. So rather than me trying to decide, well, gee, I can open up 3 of these with $1,000 or 10 of these with $1,000 if the volatility is a lot higher, I can just tell the bot whatever amount of risk I'm willing to take. The bot will take the best number that gets closest to 1,000 without going over. Or I can tell it to take a certain percent of the bot's allocation. Now this gets a little bit confusing, but just think about this for a second. If I set up my bot with $10,000 and I'm going to trade SPY, QQQ, IWM, and DIA, I can say take 25% of the bot's allocation for this particular trade in SPY, take another 25% for IWM, another 25% for DIA, etc. So, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just leaving it a single contract. Price, I can decide how selective do I want to be on my price. Do I not want to pay the full bid-ask spread? Or, I can basically come in and say how aggressive I want to get or not get on my pricing. And what the bot does, this is one of the really cool benefits of what Option Alpha did. And I remember when Kirk came out with this, when we were working there, our minds were kind of, blown over this whole thing. They have progressive pricing. So if the bid-ask spread is between, say, $1 and $1.05, and I'm selling something, so I want to get the most I can for it, I can tell it to basically go out, start at $1.05, see if anybody will pay $1.05 for it. If not, then 10 seconds later, cancel that $1.05 order, put it out at $1.04, leave it there for 10 seconds, cancel it, put it out at $1.03. So that's what they call smart pricing. I can also take a slower approach and say, you know what, leave it there for a full 20 seconds, see if anybody bites before you move it. But the key is that I'm using what's called smart pricing to attempt to get into this trade. So these are all the variables of my trade. So let's just look at this again. So is it 3 o'clock? Yes, it's 3 o'clock. Well, at 3 o'clock, I'm going to go look at SPY. I'm going to go look at tomorrow's expiration. I'm going to open a butterfly that's going to be at 10 delta, 50 delta. Now notice I use deltas here. I could have just as easily come in and said, make this a $5 wide, or make it a broken wing, give me 6 points to the downside, 5 to the upside, whatever. So an infinite number of ways that you can define your trade. I'm just sticking to the simple basics here. So we're going to do a at the money butterfly that's equal wing in one contract, and we're going to go through the whole bid-ask spread, but we're using smart pricing here. And I can also look at additional things. So does the bot already have one of these positions open? I don't really need to worry about many of these because we're going to set this thing so that it closes the following morning. So you won't, if it's already opened one, well, there shouldn't be one open at 3 o'clock because yesterday should be closed by 3 o'clock for sure. So I don't need to really worry about any of these settings. But I've also built one of these, just for whatever it's worth. I've built one where I've centered the short put at 40 delta at 3 o'clock, and then I have it open a second one at 3:45 just before the market closes, and I've got that one at, I think it's 60 delta. So it basically is going to open two butterflies that are a little bit apart, one at 3, one at 3:45, and in that world, I am using to check to see, does the bot have less than, and I say 2 positions open. If it has less than 2 at 3:45, then it's allowed to open the second one. So again, I know that's getting a little advanced. That's not my goal here, but just know that there's a massive amount of ways that we can define this. So I'm just going to keep it very simple. We're going to open this one butterfly. Then I want to look at my exit options. So what do I want to look at for exiting this trade? Again, I've got all those variables I can potentially use. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this very simple with this type of trade. I don't really work off of a stop loss. I'm not a big fan of stop losses, particularly with options, because volatility, even though the price might not change, if the volatility spikes up, I could get stopped out even though I'm right directly under the center of the tent just because of volatility. So I don't normally use personally stops when I'm trading options, when I'm trading butterflies. If I'm concerned about losing too much money, I might just want to tighten up my 10 delta wings. Maybe I want to tighten those up and make them 30 delta wings. Of course, that's going to cut down on my overall profitability, but it also is going to cut down on my overall risk. But the way I like to define these, the way I do these, not saying this is the best way or the only way for sure, but it's just what makes sense to me, is I like to use what's called a trailing stop. And I come in here and I say I want to activate this when I get to, let's say, 20% profit. If I get a pullback of 5% off of that 20% profit, go ahead and close the trade. That's going to lock in about 15%. If I get a little slippage, maybe 12%. Now, it's also entirely possible that this trade could go fully against me. There could be a big gap up or a big gap down tomorrow morning, and it will never hit any level of profitability. And if it doesn't, well, then obviously this stop is not going to come into play, or this pullback percent stop is not going to come into play. So the only way this kicks in is if at some point it does hit a 20% level of profitability. But again, I'm okay with this. So if it hits 20% profitability, and let's just say the market just trades back and forth, the market just chops back and forth right under my tent, this thing could go from being 20% profitable to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60% profit if the market does what I hope. And then maybe the market finally decides to move, a couple hours before the close and starts to pull back off of a 75% profit. Well, then it's going to close out at around 70% profit. So I'm giving this thing the ability to continue to mature, age, decay, so long as it stays in my little zone that I want it to be in. So that's my premise there. So I want that trailing stop on there. Not going to use a stop loss. I'm not going to use any of these others with the exception of expiration. Again, I'm trading something that's going to expire tomorrow. And I don't want to be caught if I can avoid it. I mean, at some point, I will surely get a sign. The market will gap up or down. I won't have a chance to get out of this trade. I'll probably get a sign. But not if I close my trade before the market closes. So what I'm going to do here, if nothing else, 2 hours prior to the close of the market, again, arbitrary number I selected here, 2 hours before the close of the market, I want to close this position. Okay, I don't want to necessarily get caught holding those short strikes overnight and running the risk of assignment. So this is going to kind of prevent that from happening in most cases. Again, if you trade long enough, you're going to get assigned at some point. If you have a fear of assignment, go to my YouTube channel, take a look specifically for my video on assignment, and you'll see that assignment isn't something to really be concerned about in most cases. So anyhow, now that I've got all that done, I'm going to hit the save button, going to hit save again, and my bot is done. That's it. It's literally that simple. I don't need to put it, well, the schedule I'm going to put it on is it's a scanner. So every 15 minutes, it's going to scan the market. It's going to look every 15 minutes to see, is it 3 o'clock? Nope, not going to do anything. Is it 3 o'clock? Nope, not going to do anything. Is it 3 o'clock? Yes. What do I want to do? Open a butterfly. Okay. Now, I could have done this in other ways. I could have put this on a repeating schedule that said every day at 3 o'clock. In other words, don't run in the meantime. Only run at 3 o'clock. But every day at 3 o'clock, go ahead and put this trade out there. I could have done it that way. So again, there's a lot of different ways that you could potentially do all of these different things. But I'm going to run this on a scanner. So every 15 minutes, it's going to go out and it's going to check to see, is it 3 o'clock? If it is 3 o'clock, it's going to go ahead and open that position. Once I've done all this, I can test this. I can hit the run button, and I basically select the automation that I want to run, which is this one right here. I'm going to run it. It's not 3 o'clock, so it's going to stop almost instantly. But it runs that automation. Current market time is exactly 3 o'clock. Nope, it's done. No more, okay? But I'm pretty confident that this will start clicking tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Trading SPY. And if I wanted to add additional symbols into here, well, first of all, I need to turn this on. I need to turn this automation on. And again, it's in paper, just to be clear. It's in paper. It's not going to connect to anything. It's not going to do anything with real money. But let's just say I'm trading SPY in this one. Let's just say I wanted to also trade Qs. I could come in and I could add this second automation in there, also running every 15 minutes, save it. But if I look at my settings, oh shoot, I didn't set up a variable. Yeah, I should have set up a variable in here so that rather than automatically trading SPY, I could plug in each one of these. I could plug in what it was I wanted it to trade. So this one is trading SPY. If I were to change this one to QQQ, because I did not do this using what's called a variable, I believe that when I change this, it's also going to change the second one. And again, yeah, it did. So anyhow, I'm not going to go back and redo it to go there. Here's the right over here, it explains how to use inputs and to set up a variable. But right now, this is, I'm just going to remove that second automation. Let me just close this out here. Because right now, they're going to be trading the same thing. But had I set that up as a variable, I could have put that automation in here 3-4 times, and I could have put a different symbol in each one of them. There's even yet a different way that I could do that, where I could put in what's called a looper, where I only have one automation. That one automation can search through up to 10 different symbols, and it can check a whole set of criteria on each of those 10 and open the one that meet my criteria. So bottom line is, I think you get the idea that there's a lot of different things that this can do for you. The key premise here is, or the key aspect of this is, have a premise to start with. Have a premise that you can go and back test, because there is a back tester here too. You can't, if you build a very intense bot like what LeoY built, there are so many variables in that, there's no way to backtest that. But you can backtest big general concepts, and we can come look at all the top backtests. So these are all the backtests that every trader that's come in and done a backtest, it's all categorized in here. So we can learn from what everybody else has already tried and tested. So you can look at what all these different backtests are, maybe tweak one a little bit yourself and play with it, or you just like one of these ideas. If you like the idea of what this backtest is, now that drawdown would preclude me from looking at this, but if I like this, all I got to do is say create a bot from this backtest, and it will do that. So again, I know I'm going a little off the rails here, a little down the rabbit hole. So when we come back to all of this, we should see, geez, I forget what I even called that bot here, sample one day bfly bot right there. So this particular bot is the one that I just made, and this thing should start clicking off paper trades tomorrow. And if you want to build a bot like this, again, just look at the link down below for a free trial of the platform, and you can go and follow along with this video, build your own. I mean, I could put it in the community, let you clone it, but it's such a simple bot. I'd rather people built it themselves, just follow along. Again, there was only a couple steps there. And then you'll learn, A, how to build a bot, B, in that building process, you'll see all the different possible things that you could do and include, and I'm sure it will get your head spinning a little bit, which is really the goal of all this. So that's it for now. Hope everybody likes this. Give me some comments down below as well if this was too long, too over the top. If you like this sort of content, whatever, it really just kind of helps me define what I should be putting out there going forward. I love to trade. I love to share and help people learn. That's really the goal here. So take care, everyone.